This episode of the Military Matters Review is brought to you by Stars and Stripes. Go to stripes.com, enter promo code podcast, get 50% off your digital subscription. 50% off your subscription. Stripes.com, enter promo code podcast. Folks, the opinions expressed on the Military Matters Review are solely those of myself, Rod Rodriguez, and Desmon Farris.
That's me.
They do not reflect or represent those of Stars and Stripes. So don't get us fired, okay?
I need this job. Welcome to the Military Matters Review. I'm Desmon Farris.
I'm Rod Rodriguez.
So, Rod, in our last episode, we got to talk to a lot of the aid societies that are reaching out and helping our servicemen and women here and abroad that are all affected by COVID-19 and beyond. First, I want to say, hope everybody's out there staying safe. And if you were one of those unfortunate people that were infected by the COVID-19, we wish you a speedy recovery. So, Rod, the fact that these aid societies are out there helping our service members, you know, with funds or the inability to perhaps maybe make rent or a amount of things, we really need to talk about how we manage our money. So do you have any thoughts on our previous episode and leading into money management?
I will say that COVID-19 has become something more than just about a virus and getting sick. If you look at it as a whole, you could say that the country's sick. COVID-19 has taken a very healthy economy, a booming economy, an economy that had a lot of promise back in December, January, and just destroyed it. These last couple of weeks have just been an absolute nightmare. Anybody who has investments, mutual funds, just a job, you've seen the unemployment rate skyrocket. You've seen stocks plummet. Economists are talking about a recession. Even the word depression has kind of creeped up in some of these discussions. So money is at, if you're not thinking about your health, you're thinking about your expense, you're thinking about your finances. So I think that when we talked about the relief societies in the last episode, it's very important to talk about veteran entrepreneurship and some basic financial practices that everybody could benefit from.
It's crazy how even companies like AMC, they're talking about they'll never recover. And because we were talking about relief aid and stuff like that in the last episode, I thought that it was only fitting that we got to talk to somebody that might be an expert dealing with military and finances. We reached out and we got a hold of Lacey Langford, who is dubbed the military money expert.
Hi, I'm Lacey Langford, the military money expert and the host of the Military Money Show, where I help the military community learn how to make, save, and invest money wisely.
One of the first questions I asked Lacey when I sat down with her was how she thinks COVID-19 is affecting the military community's finances.
I think for military families that were living off of two incomes, right now what's going on is going to have devastating impacts on their family finances if they've gone down to that one income. So I think in this time, the best thing you can do is really stay calm and get clear on what's going on. And just like when you deploy or you go to a school, you're going to have to do a layout of all your gear, the things you need. This to see what you have, what you need, have a clear understanding. The same thing applies to your finances. You have to understand what is coming in and what is going out. It's basically your financial layout. And when you're looking at it, you want to keep things simple again and break it down between needs versus wants.
Well, I couldn't agree more with the idea of a layout. I think that having a layout of your finances is critical, even when you're not in the middle of a pandemic. It's really critical and important before you're in an emergency, understanding where your money's going, what's coming in, what's going out. I can speak to that on a personal level. Only recently that I really take a look at what's leaving. What are my memberships? What are my subscriptions? There were some things in there that I was like, well, I didn't know I was paying for that. I didn't know that was being deducted from my month. I didn't know that was being deducted from my bank account every month. And it may seem small, $5, $10, but those things add up.
They most certainly do add up. And especially when you have expenses still going out, but you have unplanned for unemployment, it makes you really start to think, Do I really need that Amazon order coming every 2 weeks, or can I cancel it and buy as needed? These are things that we consider first world problems, but now it's everybody's problem because we're all in this together.
Now, I would caution, though, that we shouldn't be making huge, drastic changes. One thing you don't want to do during any emergency is make giant moves that could affect the way that you live or could affect your standard of living. So like right now, for example, people might be looking at Netflix and thinking, well, that's not essential. Well, when you're trapped in the house for, 8 weeks, Netflix, Hulu, those things, you need those things to help you relieve your tension, relieve the anxiety of being stuck in the house, but also as entertainment for your kids. Right now is not the time to maybe cut those cords. The other thing I want to talk about really quick is about memberships. Now, I have a membership to a jiu-jitsu gym where, I go and that's my gym. I go work out 3 times a week, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, boxing and whatnot. Those are small, very independent, they're very small independent companies that are sometimes barely squeaking by every month. They love what they do. They love what they teach. So they keep the doors open. I'm not going to cancel my membership because I know that if I cancel my membership now, there's not going to be doors to open when this does blow over. And I'm confident it's going to blow over. It's just going to take time. So I'm going to continue paying my membership to that gym because I want to support them, one small business owner to another, and make sure that there's still a place for me when I come back.
And I applaud you for standing by that small business. Like I would as well, if it's not that much of a cost, So that's kind of one of those things. It's like, do I really need it or do I want it? And that's exactly what Lacey was talking about in this next portion of the interview.
So right now, you need to make sure your basic needs are being met. So need would be your rent being paid, your mortgage being paid, your car payment being paid, food on the table. You want to make sure that your electricity stays on, those type of things. Those are needs. And then you can look at your wants or your quality of life expenses. Those are going to be things like your Netflix, your shopping habits, your entertainment budget. In this situation, one positive is that you have already probably cut down on some of your quality of life expenses just because you're home. So you may not be driving around as much. So your gas expense has gone down. You're not going out to eat as much. You're not going to movies out or concerts or clubs, those type of things. So there has been some natural reduction in your want area of your expenses.
I can 100% get behind what she's talking about. Since I've been home and the entire family's been home, we've actually been cooking more. We've been sitting around the dinner table more with each other, and we're not driving all over the place. So it has cut back on those expenses. But like any good business, some of these businesses have pivoted. So just because I can't go to the movies doesn't mean they haven't brought the movies home.
This pandemic, this crisis, has pushed companies to explore new ways to reach their customers. So, for example, AMC, they're now kind of going to like a kind of Netflixy subscription model where you can rent movies from them. But a lot of movie companies, I think it's like Disney and let's just talk about Disney really quick. Mulan, I believe, is the movie that was going to hit the theaters, is now, I believe, going to be available for rent on pay-per-view. And they're considering releasing that new Black Widow movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's rumors, there's talks that Disney's going to release the Black Widow movie on Disney Plus, which is going to be very interesting.
It's one of the largest movie franchises that's been around for the last 10 years, and now it's going straight to streaming.
I think we're watching the final swan song of movie theaters. And in a way, that's going to be a very interesting jump because it's going to create new industries, new ways of seeing film.
It's just one of those things that we've always done in our community. Every 3 years, you're moving somewhere else, or you got to get your promotion stuff set, or, new uniforms are coming out, all this type of stuff, change has always been inevitable in the military community. And one of the crazy things Lacey talked about when talking about military and money was how our community adapts.
I think this is one thing where the military community has a huge advantage over the civilian population. We eat, sleep, and breathe, adapt, and overcome. On active duty, or if you have a business. So right now, I think it's pause and pivot. You need to pause for a moment and figure out a way to move forward that's going to help. And that also comes down to being a smart business owner, that you have to see what the needs are and create something that solves those needs for people. So if you are a restaurant owner, you're going to have to figure a way to make your products so that you can sell them curbside. If you were doing an online business and maybe that was something that things were getting delivered, you got to find a way to maybe make those a digital product that can be emailed to somebody. So really thinking outside the box or a workaround to the way that you are already doing business is a great way to keep moving forward. But also this is a great way to find a service or a product that you weren't thinking about before. Often the greatest things come out of great frustration.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's going to be about innovation, and really, that's we have to look at the positive to the pandemic. Is that
Whoa, you said positive and pandemic in the same sentence.
I know, right? And I don't want to say that, and I hate to say that in a way because we're so in the middle of it, and I don't want folks to think for a minute that I am not acknowledging the bad stuff. Thousands of people have died and even more are sick. But if you look at it from a bigger scale, kind of like remove yourself, when you move to a macro level, down the road, we are going to see some very interesting innovation. People are going to rethink their healthcare system. We're going to rethink the way that we accept entertainment. We're going to rethink the way that we go and eat out at a restaurant. I can't tell, before this pandemic, I used to look at forks and silverware and I'm like, is this really that clean? I'm like, this is Denny's, man. I don't know about this fork and knife, but we're going to want faster, cheaper ways to sanitize, to go enjoy things together, and to engage each other again in close proximity, but with some precautions. And I think that's going to be a very interesting thing in the future.
Well, we might not be getting paid as a family, okay? So we need to cut back. That means we're not eating throughout the day. So maybe we're going back to eating 3 regular meals. Not only are we doing that, but we're doing it at the same time. Even though you said pandemic and positive in the same sentence, it's almost driven those old school American core values of eating together. Like, it's crazy the fact that they said everything with social distancing seems to be bringing families closer together.
I got really nothing else to say to that. I think you hit it on the money.
Wow, you're agreeing with me. But maybe I shouldn't get too far ahead of myself.
When it comes to the current unemployment rate, it's astronomical. It's shocking to everybody. It's never been seen like this before. But I really do think that it's going to get worse for people. And this is not just in business, but in their personal finances, because right now, a lot of people have been holding on thinking this is going to be short term. We can get through. Maybe it's just going to be a couple of weeks. They had money on hand to be able to still pay their contractors, freelancers. And now it's going longer probably than most people thought. Now the money's starting to run out. And so more and more people are going to continue to be laid off, and that's going to drive that number up further. Also clog up the system. That's another part, is that if you want to file or think you're going to need to file, you need to jam on it, because that system is at its max. All the states have never had this influx of claims for unemployment insurance. So that's, I think, really important. Then it rolls into your personal finances for the military community. If you are lucky enough to still be holding on to your job, potentially you could be losing it soon. So you need to start preparing for that. People need to be tightening their belt. We have no idea how long it will last. And that's what happened too with people's investments, that right away, oh, things are really cheap. Like the stock market's gone down. We should go and buy. So people are using their cash, pulling out of their savings accounts to buy stocks at a low level, not anticipating that they might need that cash in the future because of lost jobs, that this is going longer than they anticipated. Also, people maybe used a lot of their cash on hand to stockpile groceries, toiletries, paper supplies, those type of things. And maybe they didn't need that much of paper supplies, but now they need more food. They don't have those cash. So I really do think that there's no need to panic. We got to, be practical about it, but you do need to look at it and make a plan for it and prepare that you might have to go a little bit longer than you planned on.
And like that, we're back at pandemic mode.
Right.
We went from good to now we're coming back together to don't panic, but it might be still going down the tube.
That's the thing. I don't think that what people are doing is necessarily, most people aren't panicking. People are trying very clearly and very deliberately not to panic. There will always be some fuel that folks that do panic, but I think for the most part, Americans are trying very hard to maintain some semblance of order. And yes, for sure, people probably bought more than what they should have. And I agree, this is not the time to invest unless you have planned for this. Now, some folks, some financial planners for companies, they put money away for moments like this so they can turn a bad situation into a good one. So yes, stocks are super cheap. And if you can and you have the money to buy them, and that's money that you specifically put to the side for moments like this, then yes.
And like some of those people, I went out and bought some stock and was doing pretty good. And then it tanked. Then I'm back up. I'm almost even. But Lacey Langford has some more insight into this.
When it comes to the stock market and it being down and the temptation to kind of jump in and buy a bunch of stuff up, I would say that for the military community, you need to stick to the plan you already had. If you weren't already invested in the stock market, maybe now's not the time to jump in like full force. And that's unfortunately what a lot of people have done. They're trying to buy these dips, and that's not really how long-term investing works and saving for your future. You need to have a plan, buy long-term instead of short-term thinking. So I would say, be careful. This isn't the time to, nobody knows what's going to happen next. So I would say stick to your normal plan for saving for your future and investing. And if your plan before was you have a little bit of play money that you invest in stocks and that's not part of your long-term savings, then yes, maybe. But on a whole, you should stick to the plan you already had.
And, sometimes as military members or even non-military members, you get caught up in the whole vacations and all this stuff. So sometimes you end up paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I have plenty of times.
At this point, you have to triage your money. And so people that aren't going to make it, let's be realistic and practical about this, is that people aren't going to make it. They're not going to be able to make their mortgage payment. They're not going to be able to make the car payment. Getting food on the table, protecting their family is going to be of the utmost importance. And so if you have a set amount of money, you're going to make sure it goes to food. You're going to make sure that you keep the roof over your head versus maybe making your car payment. You have to kind of move things around and be able to pivot. And right now, not be worried about what people think if you go get a food bag. Now's not the time. Nobody's judging you. You need help. This is the time to get it. Get the food, get the help that you need. You can donate or volunteer for those services later, catch up with them, but take the food bags, get the food help, and then use the cash that you have to cover other things.
So growing up, we've had to do some of these type of things. I mean, sometimes you run on bad times, and right now a lot of people are running on bad times. But what about this stimulus check we're about to receive?
For most people, that's not going to cover everything. You're going to get the stimulus check. You have to be strategic with it, what you're going to do with it. It's going to be nice, but if this goes another 2 months, that's not even probably for some people 2 mortgage payments. It just really depends on where you're at. I think that if you're blessed to be in the financial position where you're getting your paycheck, your spouse wasn't working already, you were in a good financial position, and then you're going to basically receive a windfall. You're going to get this stimulus check. But again, we have no idea how long this is going to last or what's to come with this. So I would say you need to save that money. Especially if you have no savings, you have no financial fallback position, definitely put that money into savings. If you are in a good position financially, you have 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up. Yes, then maybe you could use that to pay down debt. But I would say I would get in a big cash position if you could. I'm talking about an emergency fund, a fallback position. And the standard is 3 to 6 months of living expenses.
3 to 6 months. I don't think I've ever had 3 to 6 months of living expenses at one time. Well, except for when I was deployed. Maybe I saved up some money then.
I think this is going to be the other positive side that comes out of this virus thing is people are going to look at their finances a lot differently from here on out. People are going to think about what happens if this happens again. This is a wake-up call for a lot of Americans and a lot of business owners that maybe they need to pay their employees a more competitive wage. But at the same time, it really does come down to, how do you spend your money? And the stimulus check is meant for us to spend it, for it needs to go back into the economy. I think this may actually kind of backfire. People are scared and people are going to I think people might take this money and try and save it or put it away. So that way, in case something worse happens or, people are trying to survive. I'm afraid that they might not prioritize the money correctly.
Yeah. And, sometimes people might think and be actually selfless and might get that stimulus check and think, I can help somebody with this. What I can donate it or I can lend it or, because I don't necessarily might not need it, but should I donate it? Should I give it away?
If you're lucky enough to have received or getting ready to receive your stimulus check and you don't really need the money right now, that you're able to pay your bills, you're still receiving your paycheck, you have money saved up for your future, and you're looking to help other people out, I would be clear about the type of help that you want to give before you start handing out money. So be clear, is this a loan or is this you are just giving somebody money straight up? Because that, depending if it's family, friends, those close to you, that could become an additional stressor for you and for them. I mean, in normal times, you should never loan money to people without a clear expectation. A lot of people even say you should never loan money to family, you should just give it to them. So just if you're willing to part with that money, then that's what you're going to do. So just be clear, if you want to give them the money, if there's somebody that needs an extra $200 to buy some groceries, give them the $200 and let them know this is a gift. I want you to get food for your family, get on the table. I don't want you to be stressed. This is money that I have extra that can help you out and I want to do that. Be crystal clear with them so they don't have something hanging over their head, because right now no one needs extra stress when it comes to money. So being clear on your expectations will be very helpful. And then if it's, let's say somebody needs $1,000, $2,000 and you have that money to give, but you're going to want that money back, then you need to be clear on that. And maybe put something in writing with them to say, hey, I'm loaning you this $2,000. I would like to be paid back within the next 6 months. Something like that. That way there's clear expectations. So if the person doesn't end up making payments to you or giving you the money back, you can show them that document and say, hey, look, we talked about it. And the expectation was that you would pay me back by now.
Okay, so maybe I won't loan it out. But Rod, you're good with me.
I'm good with a lot of people, but I'm not going to loan money. And this goes back to just some simple common sense. If you're going to loan money, make sure that you're laying out the repayment piece. It doesn't matter if you're loaning it to your brother, your parents, or to your friend. If it's a loan, make sure that the language to that loan is clear, it's understood. And if it's not a loan, make sure it's money that you're okay parting with. But I think that, when it comes to money and resources in general, having a clear understanding about what the agreement is very, very important
to not just preserving your assets, but also preserving friendships. And, you know, that goes a long way.
Let's stay positive. Like, let's hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And overspending right now probably isn't a great idea. And what's going on, we experience in the military community because of deployments, but it really applies to the COVID crisis, is what I call the I deserve it game. So you have a service member that deploys and they're like, I've been deployed for a year. I've made sacrifices. I've lived in these horrible conditions. When I come back from this deployment, I deserve a new Dodge Charger. I deserve a new set of golf clubs or whatever it is. But then you have the spouse who's at home managing a whole household, children, juggling everything, worried about everyone. So when their service member comes home, they're like, I deserve for us all to go to Disney World or to Cancun or whatever it is. I deserve to get this.
Yeah, that's right. I served my country. I've been deployed, or I've been home taking care of these bad kids. But yeah, we deserve to go to Disney World or whatever.
I fear that this is going to happen with the COVID crisis, is that when it's kind of gets towards the end or we get through it, people are going to say, like, we really sucked it up. I deserve to go on a big vacation. I deserve to go buy all this stuff for the house, or I deserve to, get a new patio set or whatever it is. We just need to be careful that we are planning strategically long term, but don't go buck wild at the end. We don't want to have planned all these things and really gotten a better financial position and then be crazy with money later. So definitely want to be strategic.
I can only speak for the Army, but I know that my experience was really interesting because when I was a young soldier, financial literacy was important. It was talked about, but it wasn't really emphasized. And when I was leaving active duty, I saw that there was an enhanced prioritization of financial literacy for young soldiers, young privates and senior NCOs alike. We make bad decisions when it comes to money sometimes, especially when you're not used to having these numbers in your bank account, whether it's after a deployment or some type of windfall. Bad decisions get made. I deserve this. I'm certainly guilty of that myself, but I think that this COVID thing is going to be interesting when we come out the other end. What do we deserve? I think people are going to ask themselves, like, should I go to the club and, act crazy? I deserve this. I made it through it. Or will people look at their experience and go, well, I got to learn something from this. Changes need to be made. I don't think many people are going to come out of the other end of this with money in hand. There may be a lot more questions about, how do we get money back in hand and how do we recover from this?
Right now is a time to keep things very simple. You don't need to complicate your financial life. Keep it simple so you have a clear understanding of what's going on. So if you're struggling financially, I would first, if you're eligible, look at the aid societies. And now they've opened more eligibility for reserve and guard members. Start close to home and get that financial help, grant money, free money. I think if you can avoid taking out debt, it would be the best.
Grants, I'll be honest with you, I'm super skeptical about that because I just don't see it. But there are relief organizations like the Army Emergency Relief, the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society, and so on and so on. We talked about that in the last episode. They offer grants. Now, that's not really for business owners, and to my knowledge, but those are definitely grants that I wish service members would take advantage of. I did when I was a young soldier. I screwed up. I bought a jalopy, a lemon in Germany, one of those, hoopty cars, and it broke down. Couldn't fix it. Didn't have enough money to fix it. They gave me a grant to fix my car, which was amazing. So that really saved my hide as a young private. So I'm always encouraging service members, go out there. The loans are great. The interest rates are, zero, and a grant's possible. So, you got to go out there and take advantage of it.
For deferments, I think it's going to come down to each their own. It depends on the person and their financial situation, because some people, they shouldn't get out of that habit of paying their bill on time. Some people aren't that disciplined. And when they finally get the discipline, if you take it away, that's a problem.
This is a conversation I literally had with my wife about a week ago. We were talking about the different ways that we're going to handle our own finances during this crisis. deferments. We're taking advantage of that. This is an opportunity for us to move around. This is an opportunity for us to move our bills around and schedule them a little more conveniently and free up money now. But we did this. We had to be strategic, and it's so difficult sometimes because you have to really lay out all your money and say, hey, this was coming in, this was going out. How can we reprioritize things to make sure that we have the right amount of liquid cash now to pay for unforeseen events, or to buy the things that we need that we weren't anticipating in a very small amount of time. So when it comes to deferments, you're really kicking the can down the road a little bit. We did not take it lightly. We continue to not take it lightly. It is not free money. We're going to this knowing very well that, we have to pay these things later. But it's definitely nice to have your car payment extended 1 month. So that does free you up a little bit. That does give you some breathing room, especially since, my own wife was laid off from her job as a dental hygienist. So we're going through exactly what everyone else is going through. We're not special. We weren't spared the coronavirus, the curse of the coronavirus, if you will. We're struggling to not make ends meet, where we're struggling to make sure that we're financially stable once this rolls over, or once this, blows over, that is. It's tough. And it's brought up some very serious questions in my own household about how we spend money and how we view money, really.
In all of this, it's not something that obviously anybody wanted, but this is bringing to the forefront the importance of spending less than you make and saving. I think it's sad, but I think this is a good opportunity for people to really get a firm grasp on their financial life, so that when this is all over, that they're going to come out of it much stronger.
I definitely agree. More people are going to end up coming out of this smarter about their money than when they first came into the COVID crisis.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think people are going to start spending less money going out to eat like they did while going through this crisis. I also think that just the fact of being home and seeing what's actually going on in your life, or what you're missing out on, is going to make you more aware.
Money's like religion, people only talk about it when it's working for you. But when the chips are down, you're less likely to talk about it. It's also kind of a social faux pas to talk about money and politics, But money is really important to talk about. Money is the foundation for our lifestyles, for what we purchase, why we purchase things. So having open conversations about how we spend our money and what is the way that we prioritize these expenditures. At the end of the day, most people will learn, but I think there's still going to be that population that's going to go and blow their stimulus check on something that they don't need, something that they for sure wanted. I hope that service members really take advantage of financial literacy classes, but also beware. There's a lot of scams coming up too. There are a ton of scams coming out of this COVID crisis. And don't be fooled by people that are preying on your fears. Recoup what you lost during the COVID crisis in 30 days. I'll show you how. That's kind of shady. So, I would suggest that service members, of course, please go check out your different relief organizations and talk to the people in your chain of command. Talk to the people around you.
Yeah, Rod. So I think you should go buy 1 million stocks in... No, I'm just joking. I agree 100%. Talk to the people around you, do the research, take the time, and don't splurge. Like Lacey said, right now is the time to keep it simple and don't veer from the plan you already had. We'd like to thank Lacey Langford, the military money expert, for coming on. She had a lot of insight. She had a lot more information. So if you want to find her,
you can come to LaceyLangford.com. That's where you can find information about ways to make, save, and invest money wisely. And you can check out the podcast, The Military Money Show, there. You can follow me on Twitter at FinanceLacey or on Instagram, Lacey Langford.
Like we always say, we love hearing from you guys.
Folks, you can check us out on Twitter at StripesMMPod, or you can check me out on Twitter as well at RodPodRod.
And you can reach me at DPodFarris.
I'm Rod Rodriguez.
And I'm Desmon Farris, and that was your Military Matters Review. Can't wait to see you at the next show.